up, everybody? It is yo girl Melissa. Woo woo, everyone. It is Friday, y'all. Y'all, I have my ghost shirt on today. You know, in the Halloween spirit at work, but we can't dress up in costume, so this is as costumey-ish as I got. My ghost face is kind of sticking out, but you know, it's that quarantine face, so it's okay. It's alright. But how are y'all doing today? How is it going? You know, drop it in the comments. Always love to hear how your guys' day is going, how everything is happening, and hope you guys are doing alright. And today I have a special guest with me, a dear friend of mine, but also this educated queen. Come on, y'all. I have Michelle Saley, right? I don't think I've ever said her last name. I've known her for over a year, and I don't think I've ever said her last name. That's how you say your last name, right?
Sally.
Sally. See, there. See, but y'all, okay. Y'all who watch the show already know I call her something else. So I did good with the first name, okay? So I'm going to just leave it there. Michelle Sally. I got it. Y'all, your girls got it. How are you today?
I am fine. How about yourself?
Doing good. How was your day? Was it good? Enjoying this weather? We're getting nice weather again.
Oh, yeah. I don't go outside. I don't know. But yes, it seems nice today.
Yeah, it's been going good. And, let's see. You know, for some reason, y'all, I don't know why, it's like Facebook has been weird lately where it hasn't been letting me do, like, share for a watch party. So it's just going to have to be on, this link. So here we go. But we could see your comments. We could see everything live on here. And so, yes, Sophia, thank you for tuning in. Yes, it's Friday, girl. It is Friday. Come on. And so, Michelle, tell us a little bit about yourself, you know, for our guests who don't know who you are. We always got new listeners tuning in, and you know, just share a little bit about who you are, your background. Let us know about you. Come on, queen.
Okay. Well, hello everyone. I'm Michelle Sally. I have a master's degree in counseling psychology, focusing on clinical mental health addictions. So that's why I moved here to the Denver metro area for grad school, and then I stayed after. So right now I am a virtual coach, specifically focusing on self-care, as well as an author, researcher, and educator.
All right, come on, and there's some fraternity, right? There's a fraternity in there. Come on, girl, come on.
Yes, I am a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
Okay, come on. You know, I don't want to say the wrong yell. You know, I know all the sororities are different. I only know a few yells, so I'm not going to, you know, shame the sororities out there. Your girl's got it, though. Your girl has got it.
Well, thank you.
So let us know, you know, you say you have, you're an author, you know, let us know about that. You know, I'm finding out new things all the time about you and new things that are happening. So let us know about that. What are you an author of?
Yeah, I'm hoping to have, we're hoping to release our book next year with, you know, different things happening this year, delay the process a little bit, but yes, it's going to be focusing on pretty much like I'm doing now, focusing on health and care, but specifically children's books. So, you know, sometimes counselors can, go ahead.
No, I was saying, yeah.
Yeah, but you know, some counselors can be weird. Yeah, we can just be weird. So instead of having like weird dialogue in a book for kids, we're really having a discussion about what is health, it doesn't seem like counseling, but we talk about taking care of yourself and cooperation, working together, so different things regarding social health, mental health, physical health. but all in a fun children's book.
Oh, that's so good, and that's awesome because I think sometimes we forget about our children. I don't know. I'm guilty of that. Sometimes we forget and we think like our children, everything's going good in their lives, just because everything's going good in our lives, and sometimes that's not the case. And so that's good to even have the practice for your children and what they might be going through. And yeah, I'm a guilty parent. Just put it up
Yes,
there.
well, I'm sure, like you said, most people don't think of it, but yes, it's nice just to have a foundation, so you don't have to wait until you're older to start taking care of yourself, talk about health or emotional care. You can go, very early on.
Yes, and also tell us, you graduated from the University of Denver, and
Mhm.
so that is exciting. And you said you have the new virtual coaching now. So tell us a little bit about that and your virtual coaching.
Yes, so I am excited about that. That is something new that started this year, actually just this fall. So I'm very excited. Just finished my first, we'll be finishing up my first course with, so that's exciting. Then relaunching again this fall, next month actually. But yes, just focusing on what is care, what is self care, the importance of taking care of yourself. Because some people are like, well, I need to drink, more water or exercise, but not realizing the importance of all of your whole self. So, what does your mental, emotional, social, spiritual, and physical care look like? And how do you put that into practice on a regular basis? So it's not just, a vacation once in a while or
Yeah.
a spa day, but
Your mic went out.
what does it look like to have that on a more consistent basis?
Yeah, yeah. And self care is so important. And I think a lot of times people don't understand what the meaning of self care is. Like, we all have like our certain perspectives and certain definitions of what self care is. And so, what would you say, because this is your profession, this is where you're at, how would you define like radical self care or self care in general?
Um, so yes, radical self-care is looking at more of taking what is it looks at care on a daily basis, consistent basis, or not just once in a while, but what does it look like in your daily life? And it's focusing on mentally, emotionally, socially, spiritually, and physically. Some people also capitalize as financial care as well. So that's not my expertise, but if you're looking for a referral, I know some people to focus on financial care. But that's pretty much it. It sounds very, some people are like, well, that sounds easy. But a lot of things do sound easy. But then what is it? How do you put into practice? What does your schedule look like? Are you on your schedule? So that's usually the key. Some people don't always schedule themselves. They schedule meetings, they schedule different work things, family things, but they don't usually schedule themselves on their calendar.
So, what does that mean to schedule yourself on your calendar? Like for us that, I don't know, we don't know. For the ones of us that don't know.
It's okay. So, not speaking from a friend, you're saying, I understand. I understand. So, yes, what does it look like? It can look like a lot of different things. Some people just find out what interests you. What do you want to do? Or what interested you before? Sometimes I work with clients that have a similar question. We talk about what did you like to do as a kid? Because sometimes it's been a while since you actually did something for yourself. For some people, that can be hiking or drawing or um, meditating or prayer or um, look like a lot of different types of things. But then actually choosing those items and then looking at your calendar. What is that? How can you implement some of this stuff this week, this month? this quarter. So that's usually the step-by-step process. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Because I think sometimes when you're like, scheduling in time for yourself, does that mean like, like we'll just use me, or there's a lot of us who are out there that have kids, right? How does that work with you having kids? And I'll be like, all right, boys, get out of my face. I'm gonna schedule you out of my schedule. All jokes aside, but seriously, how did that go? Like, so as far as like, because a lot of there's single family homes or even family homes. How do you go about like scheduling? Is it like you schedule just a time by yourself, or like is that away from your kids, or how is that?
Yeah, it just depends on what the goal is. I think I usually encourage people to start with maybe doing what does your family self care look like? What does your family care look like? Thinking of it in that way. Because even though hopefully during this time and quarantine time with more people were able to spend more time with each other, but sometimes that's not the case. So even like spending, what do you and your kids or your family like to do together? Do you like to do a movie night? Okay, what was your last movie night? Let's schedule that. So I think starting at least baby steps with that, you could go there. But as well, sometimes I know, just for example, I know some people who literally lock themselves in the bathroom away from their kids so they could just have time, whether it be like a bath time or just a reading time. So if that helps, if that's effective for you, please do so. But no, I understand it could be a lot, especially with families still, doing everything at home, working from home, doing school from home, trying to find what some people lock themselves in their closet. So it just depends on what best helps you in your lifestyle.
So, would my self care be, I get my bowl of Fruity Pebbles, go to my room, tell my kids, don't bother me unless the house is burning down. Does
Well,
that count? Does that count in my
that
schedule?
works for you, that works. That's great.
So that's awesome. So, in your practice, because, you do a lot of radical self-care. So we're talking about the whole self-care process. But what does radical self-care mean? What would be the definition of radical self-care in your opinion?
Yeah, there's different types of definitions regarding radical self-care. So definitely, of course, you can always do your own research. But when I think about it, I think of what that looks like. So, for instance, um, there's a lot going on in the world today. Of course, it's important to vote and stay active, but but also keeping in mind while you are, out there for the people and helping people do all types of things. What does that look like for you? Are you still taking time for yourself, and how taking care of yourself first helps you empower the community, because you're going to be serving the community at a more of in a space of abundance instead of a deficit. Does that make
Oh,
sense?
yeah, so good, so good. Because then it really starts with ourselves, I feel like, in all
Mhm.
aspects, right? So no matter if it's your job, your family, at home, like, we got to make sure we're okay in taking that self care before we can take care of anyone else or anything else. So maybe not
Yes.
someone else, but
Yes.
something else.
No, for real, because some people literally are walking around, with the costume on, with the cape on, and some people, they're superheroes. They do great work for their families, for school, for their church, for the community. But what does it really look like when you take your cape off? Um, are you whole? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you eating? Some people don't eat, literally. Are you sleeping? Are you drinking water? Um, those
Drinking
things
water
are
and
important.
minding your business.
Well,
But yes, and so all those things, and in the plan and being part of it. So how We kind of talked about this a little bit on Talk About It Tuesday. We're always taking care of others, but have we taken the time to take care of ourselves? And I like that because I think sometimes it's like those questions, that when you ask people, like, what are qualities that you like about yourself? And you kind of are taken back because you're like, oh, like, what do I like about myself? And so I feel like that question is kind of one of those same questions, you always are taking care of others, but have you been taking care of yourself? And so when you ask yourself that question, like, have I been taking care of myself? It kind of makes you sit back and you're like, oh, have I? Because sometimes I think we're flowing in that everyday process of whatever it might be, getting the kids ready for school, going to work, setting appointments, I know for me, getting graduation stuff done, getting violin stuff done, working on the show, photography, everything all in the mix. And you kind of like sit there and you look back of like, oh, but what am I doing to take care of myself? And I think sometimes people, I don't know, I'm not going to say people, I'll just speak for myself. I think sometimes, like for myself, I think that I sit there and think like, because I'm doing the stuff that I like to do, that I think that's taking care of me. So would that be like taking care of yourself, or no, because you're just kind of like all in the mix there and everything's chaotic?
Yeah, it just depends. I guess it just depends on what self-care looks like for you. So for some people, feeling accomplishment, feeling that brings about a self-worth, as well as feeling like you've gotten things, that you have a schedule in mind, can do wonders for your mental self-care, that you feel less overwhelmed, because you have a system in place. So that's a part of it as well. But also looking at it, so not, that's great for mental health, but then what does it look like for your personal emotional health? What does your social health look like? So looking at how can you incorporate things, all of it, not just one aspect. But that's even helpful for social things. How can you, instead of having shifting your mindset of like, oh, I have to get things done, like, oh, violin lessons, I'm excited that my kid can do violin and we can talk about it together. So that can be a part of your social self-care with your family. Things like that.
So what are the different, so from my understanding, because there's different self-cares, right? So there's your mental self-care, your social health care, spiritual, so how many different self-cares would there be? For us people who don't know.
So I focus on 5: mental, emotional, social, spiritual, and physical care. And we also have people focused on financial care. Some people also incorporate other types of care as well. So I call it mess P, so going from feeling messy to a mess P process.
So it's called mess P. I'm gonna put that in the comments. Mess P.
Yeah, mess P, MESSP.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So mess P. Okay, go on. I'm just trying to add in so people can catch in. So that there's and you focus on the 5, right? The 5. So what are the 5? So for those that are just tuning in, we've been talking about self-care, radical self-care, with the definition of it and what it means. And this is Michelle Sally, who has her degree and her associate's. She graduated from the University of Denver, on the show with us today, to also share about her new launch. But we'll be talking about that with her virtual classes that will be available to you. But a virtual coach, helping with self-care and radical self-care. And so we're just jumping into the topic of the 5 that she takes care of. And I know, like you said, mental. I'm going to let you do it.
Yes, mental, emotional, social, spiritual, and physical. And so that's pretty much where the basis of that is coming from, many different things. But I really like the World Health Organization's definition of what health is. They talk about it's not just the absence of sickness or infirmity, but actual, they talk about like a wholeness of your mental, emotional, social, spiritual, and physical care, and what that looks like. So that's pretty much where it came from.
Okay, and then we have Sophia in here. Had a comment in here about let's see, whatever keeps you centered or tailored individually. So I'm guessing the question is that each one is like every self care aspect of the fives is just tailored to you individually as that person, right?
Yes, it's exactly what it is. Because everyone, we're all have different hobbies, uniques, different schedules. So really tailoring it to what it looks like for you. Because what works for me may not work for you. Like, you talked about eating fruity pebbles. That may not be everyone's jam. So having an opportunity, maybe different cereal, or, some people like watching cartoons and some people like to go hiking. So looking at not so much of like, let me just do an activity, but what actually do you enjoy to do?
Yes, yes. And so let's see, we have De- Deandra. Hello, thank you for tuning in. Deandra said, it is so easy to get caught up in the world around us that we forget to check in and see how we truly are doing. Yes.
So true, so true,
Yeah, and
so
I think
true.
we do forget that a lot to really see like how ourselves are doing, right? Even now, I think even in COVID, right, the 2020 has been shocking for all of us. Every person in the world, every individual, it has affected each and every single one of us in different ways. And so, how would the self care in that be tailored to maybe a general aspect of people listening or tuning in. So as far as like in this pandemic, in things that are going on, what are some things, we talked about a little things, but maybe more specific things that maybe, they just don't know where to start or what they can
Mm-hmm.
do or where to begin.
Yeah, yeah, I would encourage you to begin with giving yourself more grace. There's a lot going on. Just really taking a minute to give yourself grace, and just to breathe. If that's all self care looks like for the next few weeks, is you just taking a few minutes to take some breaths and deep breaths and breathe, that's fine. That is self care. Um, Breathing is very important. You'll be surprised how many people, stop breathing, having a regular breathing pattern when they feel overwhelmed. Um, as well as thinking about, for instance, I was working with someone during this time, and they were talking about, having that social aspect. They feel like they can't go to restaurants, they can't travel to go home, they can't do certain things they would normally do, like go on vacation. But looking at, okay, what can you do? Can you get on Zoom? Can you do FaceTime? Can you schedule a happy hour with your friends virtually? Or can you find a social distance area to have those, meetups kind of thing, like in a parking lot, all of you guys in your car or something? But just trying to, because it is harder to rethink of how can you still enjoy the things you do in a safe manner.
Yeah. And so, and we're talking about safe manners and talking about ourselves and, what it looks like for us. And you actually have this thing about talking about falling in love with ourselves and about, with your whole plan and the things that you're doing. So, what does that look like? Probably not to give away your course or anything. I don't know if that's a part of your course, but what does that kind of look like within falling in love with ourselves? Like maybe just a general aspect of, you know, I,
Yes, it can look like different things. It can look like rediscovering what you enjoy. Not just so many things that you have to do, but what do you want to do? Um, or what do you feel like you want to improve on at this time? Some people may not want to, work out for 2 hours a day, but they wouldn't mind doing so. So thinking about what that looks like for you. Some people, um, of course, I don't. Some gyms are not open yet, so they're finding different ways of, okay, So I can't do that, but can I do an online Zoom class? Or um, what relationships do I actually want to keep or grow in? Um, just really rediscovering what you like and how do you love yourself in all situations.
Yes. And also when you were talking about earlier about having grace for yourself in this time. And I believe that's so important because everybody is juggling new and different things, right? Even like with us that have kids, trying to get this whole online thing figured out. And I know some of you, like, it's not a Zoom process, like we're in a whole different, like, internet world, and things don't happen and you're just like, what is going on? So but I think that's very important how you talked about giving grace to yourself during your time. And maybe for those that don't know, like, what grace means, what would be a simpler version of what grace is during this time?
Um, Giving yourself, being patient with yourself, giving yourself permission to feel all emotions during this time, especially during this time, but in general. Some days you may be full of joy, some days you may be crying, some days you may be angry. So allowing yourself to experience the wide range of emotions that we have. There's no such thing as a bad emotion, but allowing yourself to feel those things and be like, okay, this is how I feel today, or this is how I feel right now. Um, Asking yourself, why do I feel this way? Or as well as thinking about, am I feeling this way because they're really bothering me, or is it because I'm really tired? So just understanding where you're at. Is it really someone else's fault, or do I need to actually eat because I missed lunch today? Um, so just really saying, like, it's okay. Whatever you're feeling, it is okay. Is really, as well as asking for help when you need it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's hard for everybody, is asking for help. I know that was one thing that I struggled with for the longest time, and I think, I don't know, I could say probably a lot of people feel that way, because you kind of don't, you feel like you're, I don't know, you feel like you're kind of losing yourself, like you're not as strong as people think you are, or whatever the case may be. I don't know what the thought process is. But always asking for help, I feel, is one of the hardest. But I also feel like it's one of the best decisions of asking for help. And so, what would you say, so as far as like um, asking for help? Who would you suggest, like, asking for help with or turning to, when you're practicing your self care? So as far as like mental, physical, whatever it might be, um, are there resources just in case they don't feel comfortable maybe with the people around them? Um, you know, I'm gonna let you take it from there.
Yes, of course, there's resources. If you do have, if you're blessed to have healthy people around you, that you feel comfortable having a conversation with about it, and or having some type of accountability partner, that's great. Of course, if you're feeling you need additional support, please feel free to seek out your mental health organizations in your community. There's a lot of different virtual ones as well, that you can seek out. But definitely, yeah, seek out mental health. You can always, of course, you can connect with me and join my course, and or have me work with you one-on-one. But there's a lot of different health resources, different apps, different blogs, and different forums, different workshops that are, some of them are actually free of charge. So definitely see what works best for you. If you want additional resources, you can always message me directly to see what exactly you're looking for and how we could support you.
Yes, and talking about messaging you and talking with you directly, you just launched your new training, your virtual training. It's a virtual training, correct?
Yeah, it's a virtual course.
A virtual
It's a
course. Okay. See, there's
yeah.
so many virtual things. They all tie up in my head in one.
Okay.
But a virtual course, and so that just recently launched, and so congratulations on that, and
Thank you.
congratulations on everything that you're doing. And so, for those of you that want to reach out, tell us a little bit more about what you just launched, your program, what it's all about, and how we can get a hold of you.
Yes, so it's thank you so much. So yes, it's a 4-week virtual course. So you can be in your pajamas. There's no judgment on my virtual course, so feel free to wear whatever you like. That's appropriate. As well as it's focusing on all the areas. So it's focusing on your mental, emotional, social, spiritual, and physical care. And so you have an opportunity to create goals on one or more areas of care you like to focus on during the course. So it pretty much talks about, it gives you tools and resources and a step-by-step guide to not just start, but to not just to start doing something, but to implement a program, implement something you're infused into your daily life, so you can, continue to have the best life you can.
Yes, and we try to link some of the sites on our thing, and it just crashed them. I don't know which one it crashed, but let us know, or our audience know, and there's going to be people who listen and tune in later on, but where they can go right now, and we'll re-add that in the comments and in the link, and hopefully it doesn't take us down. But where can we go, or can they go to find you and find your resources? So as far as any of like your websites, pages, all of that, let us know.
Yes, the best place to go is my Instagram. So you can follow me at MESS17RED. That is on IG. And in there, you'll have my different links to my website, as well as you can follow me on Facebook. So I believe was to tag me into my business page. So feel free to follow me there as well to get updates. LinkedIn. So on Facebook and LinkedIn, it's Michelle Sally. So yeah, and then of course all those things have the links to my website and different events coming up that you can be a part of.
Yes, and so that's super exciting. And so, I know sometimes, when people think of self care or radical care, I think a lot of the mentality, I could be wrong, but I just know from talking about it with guy friends, they think it's just for women, right? But self care can be for anyone, for both men and women, right? And so in your courses, is that for both men and women alike?
Yes, all are welcome. Of course, being a woman of color, I tend to have a large base of women of color. But no, all are welcomed. Actually, most of my clients outside of the course are usually men. So definitely encourage everyone to, the importance of taking care of themselves is not just a woman thing, or it is not just an older adult thing or retirement thing. It's something that everyone can access and have opportunity to take care of themselves holistically.
Yes. And, because I thought that was not, I don't want to say weird, that's probably lack of better word, words. Uh, but, when they had said that, they're like, oh, well, self care is just for women, and I was like, I don't think so. I think self care is for men and women, because I think, and we had kind of talked about, last week on the show about domestic violence a little bit and stuff like that, and we had talked about that sometimes, it's for both men and women, and a lot of people don't realize like it's both men and women. The majority is women, but it's both men and women. And so, what would you say? I feel like it's the same with self care in that it's both for men and women alike.
Yes, exactly. There's definitely some particular people who focus on, um, self care looks like for men. But yes, it looks like everything. Everyone needs to go to the doctors. Everyone needs to get a checkup. Um, Everyone can, have a schedule that looks like something that they want to do and get up in the morning to do, and not just read emails or work all day, but doing something for yourself. Some men may not, want to say they enjoy long baths or nice walks on the beach or something, but but
We know
it
you
looks like what
secretly
it looks
taking
like.
your bubble baths with your bath bombs out there, okay?
I mean, some men do, but some men, that may not be their thing. And so it can look like, a lot of different things. It can look like, spending time with your friends, spending time with loved ones, healthy loved ones, hopefully. Um, but yeah, it can look like a lot of different things. I'm trying to think what some of my male friends and clients like. Some of them really just like hanging out, spending time with people. It can look like meeting your educational goals. It can meet like the different types of things.
Yes. And so, men, it's for you too, okay?
It is for you too.
Y'all need to get some radical self care. Because I think, you know, men and women alike, once you do start taking care of yourself, and especially I feel like it gives a boost in confidence in who you are as well too. And when we talked about like being whole and that whole process and tying that in, I believe for both men and women, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it gives you a boost and a confidence once you start taking care of yourself and having that self-care of like who you really are.
Yeah, some people have found to be very, it does help their self esteem, their confidence, as well as their overall, the way they handle certain things. For instance, I know some people, like most of us, if we don't eat or we're not sleeping as much as we want to, we tend to we tend to act a certain way. We tend to act, what do they call it?
Y'all need to get a Snickers.
Yes, we're feeling like that. We're feeling angry and hungry. And so when you're having a self care practice, you tend to not react that way to different environments, even things that you don't like. You tend to be calmer in certain situations, be able to, at least for me as well as other clients I've worked with, be able to have more self-regulation, more self-control. Even when someone says something that you're like, oh, that's interesting, instead of trying to, go off on somebody.
Yes, yes, because come on, y'all, you can't be going off every 5 minutes, okay? You just gotta put a little hold on that, okay? And and maybe you could blame it on 2020, just a little bit, but don't listen to me. I don't got no degree. Don't listen to me.
So, again, giving yourself more grace because I know things are happening.
Oh yeah, as soon as she told me I can give myself grace, I'm gonna blame it on a little 2020, just a little bit.
You can give yourself some grace. Yes.
And so tell me, because being into self care, being a counselor, being a virtual coach, you obviously have to have a heart for people. And so, where did your passion come from, and how did you get involved in everything that you do? Because, I feel like you guys and yourself, and just those in your profession, you guys deal with so much on top of like what you're dealing with yourself, so how is that taking care of yourself, in your profession, as well as how did you get started in your profession?
Yes. So I start with the first question. Getting started.
Yes. I know
Yeah.
I get so many questions at one time. I'm like,
That's okay. I got them. I got it in my head. Um, so yeah, getting started. I actually wanted to be a mental health professional back then. I wanted to be in middle school. I wanted to become a psychologist. I felt like I was called to help people with their problems. So I wanted to do that ever since seventh or eighth grade. But really focusing on, you know, what it looks like now is very interesting, focusing on specifically self-care, because eventually, well, first, my specialization is in clinical mental health addictions. And so that's what I always thought I was going to be, just focusing on addictions. But when we look at those type of behaviors or anything else regarding trauma or anything, we first have to, my supervisor, when I was an intern, actually when I was an intern at the church, they always mention of being, you have to guide the client to be stable first. And so what that looks like is having a self-care practice. So before we start talking about childhood traumas and other heavier things, that we have to have some type of practice beforehand. Because people usually deal with their trauma by drinking and using. Talking more about that will probably increase that behavior because they do not have another practice yet. So developing a stable self-care practice first really helps the client become more successful. And so that's why I started doing more of that self-care, because everyone can do it. It's not just like people are like, well, I don't have a serious mental health concern, so I don't need counseling. I'm like, well, we all need support. Just like we all see the doctor, we all, need to eat food. We can all get different types of supports. So focusing on self-care first, and then of course using that as a building block to help support other areas of your life.
Yes. And then I had a second question for you.
And then the other question I think you mentioned how I got started and what pretty much what I've been doing since this time to particularly during this time, I've had to increase my self-care practice. This is a lot going on in 2020. A lot going on just in different aspects of civic unrest and global pandemic, social isolation, all these things that are happening. Not being able to do the things I normally would like to do on a whim. I was even trying to check mail. I was like, oh, I have to go back because I need to get my mask to check my mailbox. So just little things like that you're not used to doing. So yes, I've increased my daily practice, really focusing on what I like to do, as well as what I personally do is I'm blessed to work from home, and so I've been taking full advantage of it. I've been taking daily naps. Daily naps, I didn't realize how powerful they were. I have not taken daily naps since, I don't know when, when I was younger, I guess.
Come on with those naps.
Yes, daily naps are very powerful. Just taking a break from the day, taking a break, as well as starting my mornings off, because usually I would start my mornings off with, reading emails and, to start working. But now I'm taking the time to actually let me pray and meditate, let me exercise, let me listen to an audiobook, having that practice in the morning. And that's there's 2 books that focus on that, but if you want to ever check them out, it's the 5 a.m. Club, that book, as well as
it's called, what is it called? The 5 what?
5 a.m. Club.
5 a.m. Club.
And it's another book is called The Miracle Morning. And it focuses on these types of strategies to have in the morning to have a more successful day. But yeah, just having different things like that instead of just all of a sudden just doing a quick prayer and then, going about your day immediately. So, but yeah, as well as connecting with different friends. I've actually connected with different family members and friends more now than ever before. So being intentional, reaching out to people because, I'm by myself more. I don't see colleagues unless they're on a screen. And so connecting with people more. Yeah, different things like that.
That's so good. I'm excited. And so, I know you have a big heart for people because, people like you and your profession, it's not easy because you're not only taking on the load of others, but you also have your own load. And I don't think a lot of people realize that, like I think when people think of like counselors or coaches, You don't really look at that aspect of like, well, you have to take care of yourself too, and your self care too. So, thank you so much for having such a heart for people and just having that call of wanting to help and wanting to see the difference in others, because I believe that's what you want to do.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
Yes, and so we talked about how you got into it, how you started, what was your passion about it, and so what are some of the great outcomes of self care that you've seen, and maybe not talking about clients' personal stuff, of course, because that's not what we're trying to do, but what are some of the amazing things like um, the transformations that you've seen like come out of it?
Yes, I've seen actually wonderful things, which I'm very privileged to be around, being blessed to have clients that allow me to walk it through with them. Um, I was just thinking of someone or a few people actually, but really so much of how it's not so much their situation didn't change, but their perspective for the situation changed, which I think is more powerful. The situation hasn't really changed yet. They're still, working on some things, but their perspective on the situation have changed. Their outlook on life has changed. How they flow through life has changed. I know people talk about their different significant others and spouses, see a difference in them, and they're like, "Well, I haven't really done anything." I was like, "Well, you started, you communicate differently, you think differently now, so now you have different behaviors." So really thinking about just having the little things of just having, basic. We call them basic things, but they really are multidimensional things of just,
Yeah.
you know, having what is your, again, eating, sleeping, drinking water, breathing, having just those four things,
Yeah.
can really just make a difference. And then, of course, adding upon that more things, but really can make a difference on your quality of life as well as your interactions with others.
Yeah, and I think that's good that you brought that up because talking about the basic things, right? And because I think even also in 2020, and correct me if I'm wrong, but ever since this has happened, we come to love the simple things even more, like, and we come to value them even more, like spending more time with our family, like having more time to catch up on whatever it might be, or those simple things that you valued about, like even just being able to go out and do something, you value that, and it's those simple things that you appreciate so much more. And even though some people might look at them as basic, they're not basic to everybody. So I love that you said that.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so, you know, as always, I like to ask, because I like to ask you intellectual people on here. Come
Oh, thank you.
on.
Thank you.
um, what are some people or books or whatever it might be that might have inspired you, or quotes that like have changed your life personally, whether it's a book or a quote or just someone coming into your life and something that changed you and stuck with you that you would want to share with the audience that maybe it might do something for them as well?
Yes, one of my favorite quotes is actually by Nikki Giovanni. It states, "Everything will change. The only question is growing up or decaying." So I really like it because I think people were like, "Well, nothing is changing." Like, no, everything, we are all changing. So we're either growing or evolving, or we're decaying.
Mm.
So what would you like? Really giving people an option of what do you want to be, what do you want to do. And some things, honestly, probably do need to decay after your life. I understand that. But then some things you probably want to grow in. So thinking of both aspects. Something else I liked, and I forgot who said it, but one of the groups was a part of, they mentioned of how the importance of, pretty much they talk about having the Harriet Tubman mentality of saving yourself first, then going back and saving others. So that has
Mm.
stuck with me, and I've actually incorporated that. Talking about self care, but really like taking care of yourself first, so
Yeah.
you can take care of others.
Yeah, and that's so good that you said that about the Harriet Tubman mentality. If you guys have not seen the movie Harriet, Like, you need to watch it. It is such a good movie. It is just so empowering and so inspiring. And I love that you brought that up, because it's about taking care of yourself first and then going back and helping others. And I think sometimes we fail to realize that, like, within our strength and our growing and our empowering, that we are actually able to help and empower others who are going through that same situation. Because, just like your reach, Michelle, you reach people that I could probably never reach, and vice versa. Like, I could probably reach people in my stories of the things that I've gone through that you would never be able to reach. And so we all have those empowering moments, to also just take care of ourselves, save ourselves, and then go back and save others. And so I really love that you brought that up. And I also love what you brought up about the decaying. And so I was thinking of decaying like your teeth, right? Like the decaying of your teeth. And why I think of that is because when, it starts to decay, it starts to go bad, right? And so if we're not taking care of ourselves, you start to decay in that aspect. Like, you start losing your confidence, or whatever it might be, however decaying looks like to you. But to me, I was just thinking in my head, it reminded me of like the decaying of a tooth, because it slowly starts on the outside with the enamel, and it's going in, and you can't really see it on the outside, but it's affecting everything that's on the inside. So you're slowly dying, and you get into those root canals and everything else, but everything starts decaying. And if you're not being healthy and flossing, so whether that looks like getting up and reading, or getting up and exercising, or if you're not brushing your teeth right, you're not getting up and getting dressed every day and just getting ready to make yourself feel good, or not for anyone else, to make you okay. But don't let that decaying process affect you. And that just stuck with me, because I just thought, like, the decaying of a tooth, like, it just makes you think of your life. Like, don't be on the decay end, guys. Keep going through and keep pushing through. And I know you mentioned the other two things with it, but that decay thing stuck with me, because it was like, we don't think about that when we start decaying, and it just reminded me of, like, when your teeth decay, like, you don't really realize it until it's already too late. And then they just got to pull your tooth out, girl. They just got to pull it out. And you don't want to get pulled out, y'all. Stay in there.
Yes. Definitely take care of yourself, so you don't feel like your life is decaying away. That's good.
Yes. And so, girl, tell us everything that we need to know about getting a hold of you, for those that might just be tuning in, catching it in at the end. And if you guys are just tuning in, this is Michelle Saley. She is a virtual coach, and she has just launched her new virtual classes that you guys can. We're gonna link it into the in the live and everything. As always, you can go back and click on and see where you can go to the websites. Question for you: can they join at any time, or are they like certain semesters, or how does that work?
Yes, they can join at any time. Well, the group is it's a small group, so definitely, if you're interested in it, please DM me, or on Instagram, or on my Facebook business page, or LinkedIn, to get more information about it. But yes, you can inquire about it. With the link, you just pretty much sign up for a chat with me to see if it's a good fit for you first. So if you are a good fit, you can just come and join when the next course starts. It's a small group, it's about 8 to 10 people at a time, so they can have that exclusive time together to learn and grow in a healthy community. So yes, they set up a chat with me. Then they get to sign up for the course, and they're in the course. It's a 4-week course that focuses on transforming your life through radical self-care.
Awesome. And so, I thank you so much for coming on today, because I think, especially in this time, and, we're getting close into the holiday seasons, and a lot of people don't realize without COVID, the holiday seasons are hard for a lot of people. So now
Exactly.
that we're coming into this new transition of still being semi quarantined, some are getting more restrictions again, and being in this new normal, I guess you would call it. I don't want to call it the new normal because I don't like speaking that out there. But being in this new transition, right? You know, we need to have that self care even more coming up with the holidays, and
Yes.
maybe you're good, maybe you are whole and you're doing good at this moment. I think we all go through seasons of like we're okay and we're doing good, but maybe someone you might know might need help during this season or need that self care during this quarantine time or during the holiday season. Michelle is an amazing person, and
Thank you.
I can vouch for her 100%. She is really all about you. You can put your trust in her. She's always been the person that, she will be there to lift you up no matter what. And she checks in on you. And she is just an authentic, genuine person all around. And she really does have a calling for people. And her heart is so big. And you are in good hands. And so, if you yourself, you the listener, whoever's watching live, want to get involved and learn more about that self care, because I even think sometimes it's even important just for us to go back and do those self inventories just for ourselves, because sometimes there's those things that we don't know that kind of trigger us or things that happen, and we need that little self care for ourselves and just a little reminder, a little refresher to give us that boost. So whether it's you wanting a refresher for yourself, or you need some new self-care, or know somebody that needs self-care, Michelle is a great person to go to. And like she said, when you fill out in there, when you click on the link, you put in your information, find out if you guys are a right fit for each other. And I'm sure if you're not a right fit, because not in a bad way, so don't take it that way. But we all know, like, even as who we are, like I could say as a photographer, like I'm not that right fit. Like I don't do this type of stuff. So let me find you a photographer that takes care of this stuff and put you in the right hands. And so she will find somebody if you guys are not in the right fit. She can find somebody who is in the right fit for you. And so that's a wonderful thing. And she's going to put you in good hands if you guys are not the right fit for each other, which I hope you are, because she is great and she's awesome. And I know you're going to benefit a lot. So, and so, are there any last words, Michelle, that you would like to give to anybody out there? Any encouragement, any little self-care practical things that you would like to give our audience and over the airwaves today?
Yes, just breathe. There's a lot going on. I know, particularly people who are listening from that live in the U.S. Our election's coming up just on Tuesday. So regardless of what happens with all the different people that are running appointed positions, as well as for any of the propositions or amendments that are coming out, that you can still breathe, that you still have control over that at the very least. Yeah.
Awesome. And yes, guys, just to throw that in there, don't forget to get out and vote, because your vote
Yes.
matters. And whether you think it does or not, it really does. So get out there, get out and vote. A couple days away, if you haven't turned in your ballots, whatever it might be, get out there, vote. Every vote counts. So I just want to thank you again, Michelle, for coming on and giving us some tips about self-care, radical self-care, what it means. And I'm just so excited for all those that are going to join your course, because it's going to be amazing, and you guys, you're going to
Yes.
love it. You're
Thank
going to
you.
come out refreshed and renewed.
Awesome. Yes. Yes.
And so, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. And we're going to put all those links in for you guys so you can stay connected. And speaking of financial care, we had a couple things happen last week. that we won't be, scheduling things like that happen. But Michelle has a sister who is a financial coach, and we're actually going to get her on. There was some reasons with why we couldn't do it last week, but and it was nothing to do with her. It was here in the studio things, but we're gonna get her on so we can talk finances as well. Yes, and so finances are very important, and I really believe with that's one of the things that we definitely need help with. And so, what is your sister's name? Just throwing a quick plug, really quick.
Yes, she is listening. So hello, her name is Deandra Sally. She's in the chat.
Okay, Deandra, yes,
yeah, that's her. But yeah, she has her course is Beyond the Budget. Definitely be looking for her on Instagram as well. But you can always message me and I can connect you. She's launching her awesome course this in November. She still has a few slots available, so those who are really interested in joining now. Of course, she'll do another one in the new year or before the new year. But yeah, definitely check her out. She's awesome.
Yes, we're gonna get her on here because one thing that I believe, finances, y'all, and I'm just throwing a quick little plug here because how many know when COVID hit, right? I don't think a lot of people were prepared financially. I think a lot of people are not prepared financially anyway, but especially when tragedy hits and something like this hits, we don't know when a pandemic's gonna come. Who would have thought like this would have happened, right? All this stuff happening. Mm-hmm. But we want to make sure our finances are in order, right? Not only for us, but maybe for all of those that affect us, right? Like those of us that have families, our kids, those who take care of parents. Whatever the case, there's so many scenarios out there. But we're going to get Deandra on here. And again, there was things that happened, and so we couldn't get her on. But we are going to have her on here. So Deandra, girl, if you're out there listening, we could get you on, girl. You need to come in here and get these people straight with them finances, okay? So first they do their self-care, and then they got to get their finances in order.
Yes, and what she talks about too is about, which I really like, and I personally, I'm trying to more adhere to her. She's trying to help me out, of not just being stuck in your, people have a budget, they feel like they can't enjoy themselves within that budget, but really looking at how can you, have joy and still have a budget. How can you plan the life you want within your budget and not feel stuck? So I really like that.
Girl, I probably need like finance coaching in the other way because, I think I have money and I'm spending it all joyfully when I don't.
She looked at that too. She looked at that too.
But yes, so thank you again, Michelle, for coming on. You are amazing and I can't wait for everything that happens. And, and thank you so much for taking this time to teach us about self-care, radical self-care. And also, guys, hit up the course and find out if you're fit. And, it's always good to take care of yourself. We got to start with ourselves first. And self-care is amazing, and it does. It changes your perspective. It changes who you are. So get out there. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. And you got somebody here to help you and be on your side. And so you are not alone. And so we just want to thank you again for everybody who tuned in today. Thank you for all of our listeners who watch live, who listen over the airwaves, for taking time out of your day, whether you're at work, at home, wherever you might be. Thank you for always tuning in and supporting. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys so much. And before we head out, I always like to tell you, if no one has told you today, you have purpose, you are loved, and you belong. So don't forget that. So your girl Michelle, come on, Michelle, signing out, and your girl Melissa here on Ignite with the Stream. Love, peace, and God bless y'all.